Well, it looks sunny where Isabel was. But Andy who? The US President Donald Trump gives GBNews his considered verdict on the Prime Ministerial frontrunner, Mr. Burnham.
About who?
The new incoming Prime Minister, Andy Burnham.
I don't know anything. I see that he was, I guess, the mayor of a town. I hear he's extremely liberal.
Well, I'm backing Andy Burnham to be our next Prime Minister.
Well, Andy Burnham has the support of Chancellor Rachel Reeves, lucky him, to get the keys to number 10. But has she admitted that she's losing her role in the cabinet?
But I'm really proud of my record as Chancellor, and I know that whoever is Prime Minister and whoever is Chancellor in a few weeks' time will inherit a stronger economy than the one that I inherited.
They've abandoned him. And what for? A pair of eyelashes and a black T-shirt.
Well, Tory leader Kemi Badenoch has refused to apologise for calling Bridget Phillipson spiteful and to Keir Starmer's front-bench traitors at PMQs. That's caused a bit of a kerfuffle. Andy Burnham has responded about her black T-shirt comments.
It's dark blue, actually.
Breaking overnight, a double earthquake hits Venezuela with mass casualties feared. We will have the latest.
Being Scotland supporters, we're used to getting beat, you know, like, so if we get through, then we'll be here again to party. Like.
That's some sweet honesty, isn't that? Used to getting beat. Well, Scotland's World Cup dream is on life support after they lost 3-0 last night to Brazil. Now Queer is fizzing with energy.
Well, I know, because it's beautiful, it's hot, it's humid. I love this weather. I mean, I'm made for this weather, frankly. And I literally love it, because I don't know what the complaints about. When it's cold, oh, it's too cold. When it's too hot, oh, it's too hot. When it's raining, oh, it's wet out there. If it's snowing, oh, it's snowing. Can we be happy about the fact that it's not raining, it's not snowing, it's not cold? We don't need to go on holiday. We can holiday right here in the UK.
Let's have some resilience, shall we, folks? Make the most of the glorious sunshine. If only we were a country with cheap and abundant energy supplies. We get a bit more aircon if needed in the building so you can enjoy it and then cool off afterwards.
Well, if only they'd put maybe some solar panels on top of schools.
It's too hot for solar panels.
Well, this is really, but apparently
they're not working.
They don't even work.
It's too hot for the solar panels.
I mean, it's ridiculous. Somehow we can harness the energy from the sun, and then we won't need to use all our gas boilers and the heat pumps or whatever it is they want us to do, and get rid of the towel rails that Ed Miliband isn't happy with. I mean, it's all really absurd, but I'm glad it's hot. That's the one good thing, isn't it?
Well, that is. Yes, please do let us know what you think about the heat. Are you as enthusiastic and overjoyed as Nana O'Queer? Some of you might take a different perspective. Do you know what? I'm leaning more towards the Nana side of the view.
Know it.
I'm enjoying this heat. Yeah. But I'm lucky to have an air-conditioned office. Only a tiny percentage of buildings have that.
I hate it when the aircon's on too much. See, this is where I will complain. Aircon. Right. Even when it's really hot outside, we do the freezing thing. When it's tepid outside, we do the freezing thing. If there's any sign of sun, we do the freezing thing. Crikey, am I complaining about the weather?
About time. About time. All right. Loads to get stuck in today. But please, before we do anything, Tatiana Sanchez, tell us about the news.
Good morning. The top stories: at least 32 people have been killed and 700 people are injured after buildings collapsed in Venezuela's capital, Caracas, following powerful back-to-back earthquakes. The country's acting president declared a state of emergency. Yesterday is declared the UK's hottest June day on record, with a new high of 36.1 degrees Celsius recorded in Hampshire. Hundreds of schools, meanwhile, shut across England and Wales, and transport has also been disrupted, with train passengers advised to avoid all non-essential travel. Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper has announced a new package worth almost £290 million to bolster Ukraine's recovery and energy security ahead of the Ukraine Recovery Conference. Scotland fans face an anxious wait to discover if the team has qualified for the knockout stages of a major tournament for the first time. Steve Clarke's side lost 3-0 to Brazil in Miami, but a third-place finish in Group C means they could still make the last 32 of the World Cup. Those are the latest headlines. More in half an hour.
Take the GB News family with you on any device. As long as you have an internet connection, tune into GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond.
Hello and welcome. This is Britain's Newsroom, live across the United Kingdom on GB News with Charlie Peters and Nana Acquia.
Yeah, good morning to you. So let's kick off with the big topic everyone's talking about, the weather, because temperatures are set to break records again today, after yesterday was declared the hottest June day ever, with a high of 36.1 degrees Celsius recorded.
A rare red warning for extreme heat has been issued by the Met Office. It's going to stay in place until Saturday.
So, as a result, hundreds of schools are closing, trains cancelled and tourist attractions are shut. I mean, wouldn't you want them open on a day like this? But what message is closing schools sending to our children?
It's a question, isn't it, Nana? What do you think?
Well, my son was saying, "Oh, Mummy, can you pick me up at 1 o'clock because some people are going early." He couldn't wait to get out of school.
I think it's a relief for a lot of kids, isn't it? They're now saying weather as a way to escape the schooling experience. I've had snow days, and I sort of get that when the roads are stuck. But is it too hot to learn? I don't really understand.
No, it isn't. That's ridiculous. And also, when they go home, if you're trying to protect kids, not many kids have aircon at home, so I don't really know what the real reasoning would be for that. I think it's for the adults. The adults want to go home. It's too hot for them. Children are very resilient. The adults want to bask maybe in the sunshine for a bit. They want to go home. They're chilled out, and then some of them will get angry in the heat. It's for the adults. It's not for the kids.
Well, one thing I am concerned about is the rails, because I'm meant to be getting a train later today, quite a long one as well. I'm a bit nervous, might be in trouble. So let's speak now to our national reporter, Will Godley, who joins us live from Paddington Station. Will, good to speak to you to morning. What can you tell us about the transport networks today?
Well, firstly, Charlie, I'd say good luck to you getting that train later, because today the Network Rail saying only travel if absolutely necessary. There's going to be a high chance of severe disruption on the railway lines. Now, why is that? Well, because of this heat. When it gets to about 30 degrees in the air, on the rails it gets far, far hotter. The steel heats up and it gets to about 50 degrees. And so when it's that temperature, they impose speed restrictions. Trains can't go as fast as they otherwise would. And so rail operators introduce alternative timetables in order to make up for the delays that they encounter. I've just been inside the station here, and already on the departure board a huge number of delays showing and cancellations as well. And as it gets hotter throughout the day, it's only going to get worse. I was experiencing these chaos and delays yesterday coming back from Brighton. My train 90 minutes longer than it should have been. They're having to hand out water to people because it was so hot. And they were urging people, if they needed to get to Gatwick Airport, to get off at the next station and get taxis because the train was so delayed. And it wasn't just me caught up in this. I spoke to somebody earlier here who was trying to get home to Bristol last night, but all the trains were cancelled and she had to shell out £300 for a hotel. Take a look.
Came up yesterday just to do some nice things. It was very, very hot, but I needed to come up. And then yesterday, the really irritating thing was that I was at Paddington for nearly 2 hours because it would say delayed, and then pretty much at the last minute cancelled. So luckily I managed to get a hotel room, but it's not ideal. I'm trying to get back today.
Where are you hoping to get to?
Bristol.
And so how much money is all of this cost you?
Right, yeah, good question. Well, I have been getting taxis, to be honest, because I didn't want to walk or get into the tube. Then hotel bill, I mean, way over 300 quid extra from what I was going to, yeah.
well, more disruption set to continue today. We're being told from the Network Rail that people should only travel if absolutely necessary, that there's a high risk of disruption as well, and probably people not going to take that too well. Of course, last night the hottest June night on record, so if you're like me, you probably didn't sleep too well either. People might not take news of cancellations and delays too well. Not just the transport network affected though in this heat. Down in Kent, they've just introduced a hosepipe ban as well, so lots of disruptions across the country.
God, a hosepipe ban. Thank you very much, Will Godley. It's typical, isn't it? Now, there's not going to be enough water yet. Before that, it was one of the wettest months we've seen for quite some time. All right, let's go to Isabel Fekulak, who joins us live in Bournemouth. Isabel, so I'm imagining that the beach will be packed with people.
Yes, good morning to you both, Nana and Charlie. Well, already here at Bournemouth Beach, people are setting up for another day to soak in the glorious sunshine. This beach stretches along 7 miles, and as far as I can see down it, people already setting up. You can imagine just how packed it's going to be in a few hours. It'll be hard to put a pin between people, I'm sure. And yesterday's crowds here at Bournemouth left quite a bit of rubbish behind, unfortunately, leaving litter pickers working hard this morning to clear up the beach so people can enjoy these glorious golden sands yet again. As you can see here, people already cooling off in the water too. It's currently around 28 degrees here, but Bournemouth is included in that area in the south in the red heat alert, and we know that the record was broken in the south yesterday in Gosport, 36.1 degrees. Will that record be broken again today? Whether it is or not, people still showing up here to enjoy the day, and people also working through the heat to clear up the mess left behind from yesterday.
Thank you very much, Isabel Fekulak, for that report. I have to say, I get seriously frustrated by littering at beaches, or indeed anywhere. I mean, I was at the cricket last week, and the guys in the row in front of us had left just an absolute trash-laden mess around them. And then you watch footage from the World Cup of the Japan fans staying behind, cleaning up the areas around them, leaving it pristine. I just think we can learn so much from that. It's
or if you go to, say, the UAE, Dubai, if you want to do that there, let's see what happens to you, because I think it's just that we're too weak when it comes to punishing people for doing things that are unacceptable, and litter is really irritating to me.
And I think more and more people should just say to people, if they see them chucking stuff on the ground, just get up to them and say, what do you think you're doing? Have a go. Don't leave it up to the authorities.
Well, I wouldn't advise that, really, because people have got to go a bit mad in the heat as well.
Maybe I just enjoy confrontation too much. Right, let's move on now. The chairman of the Campaign for Real Education, Chris McGovern. He joins us now. Chris, well, look, thousands of schools closed or partially closed amid all this heat. What do you think, then? Should children be sent home from school in the hot weather?
No, they shouldn't. Look, my message to my fellow head teachers is that in 1940, we got through the Battle of Britain. I think we can get through a few days of warm weather in 2026. You know, it's remarkable because the most successful education system in the world is Singapore. They're on the equator, so they get this weather every day, 365 days a year, and it's very wet and damp as well. And they don't have air conditioning in their schools. They have these ceiling fans. So we need to toughen up a little bit. And actually, some children want to actually learn, and that's for parents. Some teachers are also parents. They have to go home to look after their kids, so they can't be in the school. It's COVID all over again. So am I in favour of this closing the school? Absolutely not. We need to do more for our kids and more for our country.
Do you think, I mean, it feels a bit pathetic, really, and as you've given comparisons of other countries, apparently in India they don't even switch the aircon on until it gets to 35 degrees. Do you think that this is more because of the teachers who would rather not be working in the heat than the children, who wouldn't really complain much, to be honest?
Yeah, look, too hot, too cold, too wet, too dry. There are some fantastic teachers out there and doing a wonderful, heroic job. But there are also some, including some head teachers, my colleagues, who actually, you know, want an easier time. It's a tough job teaching, and they can see a chance here. Let's close the school, send the kids home, and put our feet up. These children, by the way, what are they going to do? They're going from a school which is usually spacious into the hotter outside world to their homes, maybe warmer, or they're around the shopping centres causing trouble. So, look, it's a spineless sort sort of attitude we have. We desperately need to get our kids to toughen up. I mean, some of our head teachers to toughen up as well. Give leadership, for heaven's sake. We're going to get through this, boys and girls. We're going to get through it.
And Chris, do you think there has been an issue with a reliance on remote learning as caused by what happened during the pandemic, that people now see this as an option that they have, that they can pull on more easily?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The COVID thing was a disaster. We were one of the few groups that said we should never have closed schools then. Some children, of course, from poorer backgrounds, they don't even have the access to the internet. Look, the middle-class kids from the wealthy backgrounds, they're always going to be okay. Mum and dad will look after them. The poor kids, and I'm an inner-city Birmingham kid, the kids in the inner city of Birmingham aren't getting such a good time. They need to be in school. And actually, they want to be in school. They want to learn things. When they realise the rest of the world has overtaken them, that this country's falling behind, they want to catch up. They're competitive. So we need a bit of steel at the top, a bit of strength in the leadership, and we need kids to be tough too. We've talked about building resilience. It's time we showed an example. Kids, you're going to be in school, you're going to learn some stuff, and yes, it's hot. Get over it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And actually, it's better than being cold. Chris McGovern, thank you very much. He's the chairman of the Campaign for Real Education. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris. I have to say, there's no shortage of support for you on gbnews.com/your say. Well, still ahead here on Britain's Newsroom, there's been an aircon crackdown because cooling units are being ripped out of homes because councils, of course, they're pushing those strict net zero rules.
Absolute madness. But up next, find out Donald Trump's response to this question from GB News' Bev Turner.
From GB News. You mentioned that our Prime Minister has got one foot out the door. The new guy's coming in, Andy Burnham. What do you know about him, Mr. President? And what does he need to do to improve the relationship?
Looking forward to that one. Right, but first, if you're on some holiday sun, who are these people?
Stay here.
Yeah. Well, here's a forecast for some of the top European destinations. Is it not hot enough for you?
It's too hot there.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
It's not just the UK with exceptional heat, also much of France and pushing further north into Germany and Poland as well. Northern parts of Spain also very hot. Possibility of one or two showers drifting towards Madeira as we go through Friday night. More chance of one or two showers in Portugal and across the far south of Italy. But for most of Italy, it is hot and sunny. Same goes for Croatia, and we'll continue to see temperatures building, particularly in Italy and Croatia over the next few days. Rome could be up to 40 Celsius by Monday.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
But there's a huge amount of psychological evidence. There's lots of theories about when people make decisions and follow them with actions, their behaviour becomes consistent with the choice they made. So if you get married, you're more likely to see each other with rose-tinted spectacles, that kind of thing. The signal value of marriage is absolutely huge. I was talking to a young couple who are newly engaged just the other day, and they said it was amazing how it actually changed the way that they felt about their relationship. So it does provide extra security, and doing it in front of your friends makes a huge difference as well. It holds you to account. So there's a huge psychology behind the act of marriage. So it would be weird if there wasn't any effect at all. I found that your family background, so your age, your education, income, affects about half of your chance of staying together.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
The art world has lost its darling, probably the most respected, celebrated, influential artist of the 20th and 21st century. And as you say, career spanning 7 decades, whether you're looking at his portraits or his Californian swimming pools or his spectacular Yorkshire landscapes, he made art for the people. The art world can be a rather snobby place, which is unfortunate at times, but he made art for the people. If you Mr. and Mrs. Ossie Clark, the fashion designer and Percy the cat, or Harry Styles, or a portrait of his carer.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, I'm going to try and explain what SpaceX is. It's set to become one of the most valuable companies in the world. But it's not just about rockets. Everyone will be aware. OK, well, it would be really nice if Elon Musk could could help us out with our tech here, because I'm trying to draw a rocket and we're not able to. What is going on? I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm afraid our very own. Let's see. No, we're not. I'll try and explain what's going on with SpaceX without any visual aids. How disappointing! It's three companies, really. It's a rocket company, it's a communications company, and it's an AI company, all in one. It controls 84% of the commercial launch market in this country.
GB News, the People's Channel.
It's just coming up to 52 minutes after 9 o'clock. Good morning to you. Now, this is Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Well, the US President Donald Trump, he's weighed in on Sir Keir Starmer's potential replacement following the Prime Minister's resignation. He's responded to a question from our own Bev Turner.
About who?
The new incoming Prime Minister, Andy Burnham.
I don't know anything. I see that he was, I guess, the mayor of a town. I hear he's extremely liberal.
Well, GB News' political correspondent Olivia Utley joins us now. Olivia, well, he doesn't know who he is.
But he doesn't like him. It's not a very auspicious start for Andy Burnham in Donald Trump's books. Perhaps he doesn't mind that. There were definitely MPs in Starmer's ranks who felt that the Prime Minister got too close to Donald Trump and was actually happy when there was some distance between the two of them. The reason that Donald Trump doesn't approve of Andy Burnham or doesn't approve of what he knows of him is that he doesn't think that he would drill in the North Sea. It sounds like Donald Trump is absolutely right about that. Andy Burnham looks like he's going to halt plans to push ahead with some drilling on gas and oil fields in the North Sea, which had already been approved. It was going through some final procedural points, but it looked as though it was going to go ahead. Andy Burnham looks as though he's pulling back on that decision. Of course, that will go down very badly with Donald Trump, who thinks the most important thing is to have lots and lots of abundant energy. It'll be fascinating to see where we get to on this seeming row between Andy Burnham and Keir Starmer on that defence investment plan. Keir Starmer wants to get it published before the NATO summit. We are waiting to see whether Andy Burnham is going to get a say in it. I think that'll be really, really important to Donald Trump. Obviously, Trump is going to push very, very hard to get all NATO countries contributing properly. If Andy Burnham is seen to be stronger on defence than Keir Starmer, then that might help get him into Donald Trump's good books.
Olivia Utley, thank you very much for that update. Right, we're still ahead here on Britain's Newsroom. The Grooming Gang's inquiry is going to investigate London. That was announced yesterday. Sir Sadiq Khan, he's welcomed the decision, but there was, of course, a major row about that last year.
Well, there was. Susan Hall, she engaged was engaged, by the way, but she engaged with Sadiq Khan on the question of grooming gangs in London, and he appeared to not think that there were any or even understand what they were. We'll stay tuned. We'll be speaking to Suzanne Hall very shortly. This is Britain's Newsroom, Britain's favourite morning show, only on GB News.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The Met Office amber extreme heat warning remains in place today over parts of southern England, the Midlands and South East Wales. A broader amber warning area also in place covering most of England and Wales. Yes, another hot and sunny day for the majority. A little bit cooler maybe along the south coast and some mist and low cloud along the east coast. More comfortable conditions for Scotland and Northern Ireland. Plenty of sunshine here, the main exception being the far north where the rain could turn heavier later on. Temperatures across Scotland. Low to mid-20s, perhaps further south we're talking mid-30s, maybe high 30s inland over parts of the Midlands, southeast Wales and southern England. The humidity is also high, hence the health risk. That's why we've got the warnings in place. Some heavy downpours also possible later across northern Scotland. This zone of wet weather likely to pep up through the course of the day, but sunny spells through central and eastern Scotland. It's a pretty warm day here. 1 or 2 showers possible in Northern Ireland. For most of England and Wales, it's hot and sunny. The coast's a little cooler, but later in the day, the threat of thundery showers coming up from the south, from France into the Channel Islands, then potentially into southwest England, where we have a Met Office yellow warning in place. Some really lively gusts of wind, along with a lot of flashes of lightning associated with those thundery showers, which may then spread more widely. So some big downpours possible. May get woken up by a flash of lightning or a rumble of thunder. You may not be sleeping anyway because of the temperatures. Again, a very warm and humid night. Heat warning. The amber extreme heat warning is in place now for central and eastern England on Friday. Could be that bit cooler. Turning a little cooler in western parts of England and Wales tomorrow as well. But still over central and eastern England with the sun beating down. Temperatures could again get into the mid to high 30s. Full details of all our warnings on the Met Office website.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go, or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. There's congestion northbound on the A453 in Nottingham causing 10-minute delays. In Surrey, one lane is closed on the M3 eastbound between junctions 4 and 3 due to a collision. The A5 northbound in Bedfordshire is closed between the A5183 and A4012, with normal conditions expected by 12:45 p.m. The M61 northbound slip road at junction 8 in Lancashire is closed due to an overturned vehicle. And on the trains, major disruption continues between London St Pancras International and Bedford on East Midlands Railway, and Thameslink services due to hot weather. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Hello from the Imperial Island Resort in Paphos, and it's the final week to see how you could win big in time for summer. Someone has to win our stunning cash prize of £76,543.21. Just don't miss out as lines close on the 26th of June.
For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
At the stroke of midnight, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Day in, day out. Forget stuffy late night TV shows. We're giving you a front row ticket to the centre of the political universe.
Because breaking news doesn't wait for the morning.
And neither do we. Join us for one of the most controversial and volatile times of politics in human history.
A very big story.
Big story over here.
You won't get this anywhere else. The Late Show live at midnight every night.
To the Home Run, watch a new show for all of Britain. He can say whatever he wants. A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. It is 10 o'clock on Thursday, the 25th of June. We are live across the United Kingdom. This is Britain's Newsroom with Charlie Peters and me, Nana Acquare.
Well, it's getting a bit warm again, isn't it, Nana?
Yeah.
Morning. Another day of extreme heat and high humidity. Met Office extreme heat warnings are in place, and those warnings continue into the weekend. Not as hot across Scotland and Northern Ireland. Some sunshine here, but some heavy rain later in northern Scotland, and then later on the potential for some thunderstorms moving in across the south. There's a lot going on. Join me later for all the details.
You can always rely on northern Scotland for the rain. But yes, Britain is baking in a record-breaking heat wave, with schools, trains and tourist attractions shutting down, and it's getting hotter.
And amidst all that, there's an aircon crackdown. Cooling units are being ripped out of homes as councils enforce strict net zero rules.
Over in the US, Andy who? Donald Trump has given GB News his considered verdict on the prime ministerial frontrunner, Mr. Burnham.
About who?
The new incoming Prime Minister, Andy Burnham.
I don't know anything. I see that he was, I guess, the mayor of a town. I hear he's extremely liberal.
Well, I'm backing Andy Burnham to be our next Prime Minister.
Well, Andy Burnham has the support of the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, lucky him, to get the keys to number 10. But has she admitted that she's losing her role in the cabinet?
But I'm really proud of my record as Chancellor, and I know that whoever is Prime Minister and whoever is Chancellor in a few weeks' time will inherit a stronger economy than the one that I inherited.
They've abandoned him. And what for? A pair of eyelashes and a black T-shirt.
Well, Tory leader Kemi Badenoch, she was in a feisty mood yesterday at PMQs, and that's led to people calling for her to apologise because she called Bridget Phillipson spiteful, and she said that Keir Starmer's front bench team were traitors at PMQs. Well, Andy Burnham has also responded to comments she made about him being a black T-shirt with eyelashes, was it?
It's dark blue, actually.
Breaking overnight, a double earthquake hits Venezuela with mass casualties feared. We'll have the latest.
Team Scotland supporters were used to getting beat, you know, so if we get through, then we'll be here again to party.
And the Tartan Army's been trounced again. Scotland's World Cup dream is on life support after they lost 3-0 to Brazil. Now, I feel very lucky, Nana, because I'm one of the few people, based on what I'm hearing, who's able to sleep very well during a heatwave. In fact, so well that I missed this thunderstorm that happened a couple of nights. Passed me by entirely. But I believe you're also enjoying your heatwave sleeps.
I love it. I sleep. And do you know what's weird is I actually really dream. And I had this incredible dream, and I was in this sort of like a safari thing, and I was with my fiancé Stephen, and we were on this sort of whirry bike, you know, like when you're in the gym and the bike's got all the air going, ooh, and it sounded like that was really high up, and all the animals were around us, and you could hear all the sounds of the animals. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I thought, oh great, you know, when you're in your dream. And then we got to this building, and everyone goes inside this big building with massive windows, floor to ceiling, and I could hear, ooh, and somebody went outside, and Stephen went in to get them back in because the animals were there. Then Stephen went outside and one of the animals almost got him, and then I went to help him, and I could hear the animals of and then I sort of woke up and I realised, and I heard and I realised that he was the sound of all the animals. All the animal noises were him as he was snoring, but it was all in my dream.
You know, Nana Aquia, when I joined GB News 4 years ago, I knew it would be an interesting journey and experience. But you certainly do everything you can to ensure that I never know what's coming next.
Well, we do know what's coming next. It's your latest news headlines.
Nana, thank you very much. The top stories. Yesterday is declared the UK's hottest June day on record, with a new high of 36.1 degrees Celsius recorded in Hampshire. Hundreds of schools, meanwhile, have shut across England and Wales, and transport has also been disrupted, with train passengers advised to avoid all non-essential travel. The heatwave is forecast to continue into Friday, with a further high of about 38 degrees possible, the Met Office says. A red extreme heat warning has been issued by the Met Office across parts of South and Central England and South Wales. That remains in place until midnight tonight. Rachel Reeves says she's backing Andy Burnham to be the UK's next Prime Minister amid speculation she could be replaced as Chancellor if he takes office. Ms Reeves also said she wouldn't be drawn on reports that she may accept another role.
I'm backing Andy Burnham to be our next Prime Minister. I've known Andy for, 16, 17 years now. He's a good friend of mine. But any choices for the new Prime Minister will be their choices to make, including who's in the Cabinet. I'm really proud of my record as Chancellor, and I know that whoever is Prime Minister and whoever is Chancellor in a few weeks' time will inherit a stronger economy than the one that I inherited 2 years ago when I became Chancellor.
Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has weighed in on Sir Keir Starmer's potential replacement with a question from GB News' Bev Turner.
About who?
The new incoming Prime Minister, Andy Burnham.
I don't know anything. I see that he was, I guess, the mayor of a town. I hear he's extremely liberal. I have had every oil company come to see me. Sir, could you give us access to the UK? We would do anything to drill in the North Sea. And they haven't even found what's there. The amazing thing is they buy their oil from Norway, which gets the oil from the North Sea. Think of it. And they pay a big premium. Norway's got now $2 trillion in the bank, and UK is dying. So they should open up the North Sea. It's an easy one, and a lot of good things are going to happen.
Andy Burnham must avoid lurching to the left or placing new taxes on businesses should he become the next Prime Minister. His political opponents are to warn. Speaking at the British Chambers of Commerce conference, both the Shadow Chancellor Samel Stride and Liberal Democrat leader Sir Ed Davey are expected to call on Mr Burnham to prioritise growth and rule out further tax rises on businesses over the rest of the Parliament. Rachel Reeves is expected to use her appearance to insist the government's priority remains providing economic stability. At least 32 people have been killed and 700 people are injured after buildings collapsed in Venezuela's capital, Caracas, following powerful back-to-back earthquakes. The country's acting president declared a state of emergency. She also says rescuers from other countries will be arriving in the coming hours and thanks Donald Trump for his support. The US Geological Survey says it's initially estimating the death toll would most likely range from 10,000 to 100,000. 8 bodies were found in a state of advanced deterioration in the mortuary of an NHS trust in March after hospitals ran out of freezer space. An inspection of the Queen's Medical Centre in Nottingham by the regulator, the Human Tissue Authority, also found insufficient identity checks meant there was a risk of the wrong bodies being released to families. Mortuary care at the Nottingham University Hospital's NHS Trust was strongly criticised by independent review chair Donna Ockenden yesterday when she revealed hundreds of local families had experienced poor maternity care. The Trust said it was truly sorry for not meeting the standards expected of it. Elsewhere, new cases of obesity are rising fastest in younger adults in England, a study has suggested. Rates of new diagnoses for people in their 30s were nearly 20% higher in 2024 to 2025 than they were in 2019 to 2020, according to the study published in The Lancet. For people in their 20s, new cases jumped by 16%. These increases were higher than in older age groups, although the most common ages for diagnosis remained the 40s and 50s. And Scotland fans face an anxious wait to discover if the team has qualified for the knockout stages of a major tournament for the first time. Steve Clarke's side lost 3-0 to Brazil in Miami, but a third-place finish in Group C means they could still make the last 32 of the World Cup. The men's team has failed to progress beyond the group stages at 8 World Cups and 4 European Championships. Those are the latest headlines. More in half an hour.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Hello, good morning and welcome. This is Britain's Newsroom. We're live across the United Kingdom on GB News with Charlie Peters and me, Nana Acquia.
Now, London, Oldham, Bradford and Keighley have been selected as the first 3 areas to be investigated by the Grooming Gang's inquiry.
Now, the Mayor of London, Sir Sadiq Khan, has repeatedly told Met leaders to leave no stone unturned when investigating these appalling crimes. But remember his May campaign? That's one of the things he did, encouraging people to report violence against women.
Probably wouldn't know a good thing if it slapped her in the face. Someone I'd gladly do if I see her again. Mate, what did I do now?
Stop! Just stop, man. You can't be saying that, bro. That's serious stuff.
Obviously, I'd never do it.
Yeah, but just saying it is bad enough, man.
Well, back in January of last year, Sir Sadiq clashed with Susan Hall, the leader of the Conservatives in the London Assembly, on the issue of grooming gangs in London. Let's remind ourselves of what happened there.
I asked you this question last week and you found every which way but not to answer it. Just how many grooming gangs have we got in London?
To avoid any misunderstanding, can she define what she means by that?
Yes, if you look at what's gone on in Rotherham, where there are people taking young girls, grooming them for sex, that is what I'm talking about.
We know in London there are issues about exploitation of young people, but they're not as defined by the member in her definition of what those types of gangs are.
Well, Susan Hall joins us now. Susan, great to speak to you this morning. Thanks for giving us your time. We now have London confirmed as one of the areas where this investigation will go ahead. I spoke with the inquiry as a hub, talking about High Wycombe, Luton, Oxfordshire, trafficking, all these types of issues, because London is so complex. And I think you also think that it's been overlooked until now.
Yes, it has, Charlie, and thank you for all the work that you've done on this, because you've been like a dog with a bone and just kept it in the news. And the girls, the victims, or the survivors, as they prefer to call themselves, know what you've been doing and are grateful. And there's some other good journalists that have as well. And we have to do this because people like Sadiq Khan don't want to believe it's happening. And he's not in isolation. There are lots of people that say to me, yeah, but, you know, is it really happening? And of course, it doesn't happen anymore. Well, yes, Charlie, Nana, we all know it is still happening. How anybody thinks it wasn't happening in a city of 9 million, and that's the amount of people we know about living here, you know, they need their bumps felt. Of course it's happening here. And you and I, Charlie, have actually spoken to these survivors. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And people like Sadiq Khan need to come to the table and open their eyes and see it's happening.
I think he actually went a step further, though, and it was worse than that. I think you're being very generous to him, because he actually pretended that he didn't really know what a grooming gang was. The way he, in the full exchange with you, he acted like, grooming gang, and asked you to kind of explain it.
Yes, but he must know what they are. He cannot be that stupid.
Yeah.
And Susan,
that's stupid.
When I spoke to the panel team yesterday, Eleanor Kelly, one of the panellists, said that in London you have county lines, gangs, drug gangs and other issues, and they have to work within that complexity. Do you have a sense of concern that perhaps the grooming gangs, as we all know them, might get caught up in broader child sexual exploitation? And what's your message to the inquiry to make sure it is laser focused on this issue, on the definition that really needs to be established here?
Charlie, you are spot on. That is exactly what they're going to do in London. Say, oh, well, it's all county lines. We've been looking at that for ages. You and I both know that it isn't county lines. It is something different. There are places they overlap, of course, but grooming gangs, as you and I know them, Charlie, are here in London. And I do hope they don't get fobbed off by the police, the mayor, or anybody else into thinking that, no, actually, this is just county lines. It's not. These are grooming gangs and must be kept separate.
Do you think, Suzanne, there seems to be almost a lacklustre approach to this? I feel as though they were literally forced to get into having an inquiry in London. What do you think is the reason why?
They were brought to it screaming and shouting, weren't they, Nana?
Yeah.
Nana, sorry, I've got a friend called Nana, and I always call you that.
Well, don't worry, Nana keeps calling you Susan and Suzanne, so you're all right with that one. It's fine.
We don't care, do we, Nana?
Not really.
Anyway.
I've been called worse anyway.
Not by me, you haven't. Anyway, they're sort of... I'll tell you why, because London is full of real lefties who call themselves progressives, They love to think of themselves as woke, whereas perhaps some of us would think it's more of an insult. And I don't think they want to believe that this is actually going on at all. Well, it is going on. They need to open their eyes. They need to come to the table and think, OK, we've got this wrong. We need to look after these young girls and sometimes boys, because in effect, we're looking at paedophiles and we're looking at innocent young 13, 14-year-olds. They're not being looked after in the care system. They're not always being looked after by the police and anybody else in authority. And very often, but not always, these girls haven't got parents around or people around that can care for them. Damn disgraceful. We need to look after them.
Yeah. Now, Susan, obviously the London Assembly, you wrote a letter to the inquiry team just a week before this has been announced, after some journalists, and I was happy to be part of that panel, gave evidence to the committee you chair on this. What's the next step now for the London Assembly in terms of gathering information, getting more information towards the inquiry team, and how will the Assembly work with this investigation?
Right, so next Wednesday, we've got some academics coming to talk about their view on this. I mean, some academics have actually said we mustn't call them grooming gangs. So that'll be an interesting meeting, won't it? Because obviously I'm in a different view. But let's hear what they say. Let's see what evidence they've got. Let's see what their thoughts on the situation are. And then 2 weeks after that, we've got one of the commanders from the Metropolitan Police coming to answer questions. And, you know, we're not going to hang back. We will ask proper questions because people have got to. So that'll progress. If Baroness Longfield wants any information, of course, we will do anything we can to assist, because this has got to be dealt with once and for all.
All right, well, listen, let's say that they do a thorough investigation into it and not try and fob people off. Thank you very much. Susan Hall, she's the leader of the Tory group for the London Assembly. Thank you very much.
Right, we do have a statement from a spokesperson for the Mayor of London, who said the Mayor welcomes the local investigations announced yesterday. He has been clear we must leave no stone unturned. Any individuals or grooming gangs exploiting children for sex are utterly abhorrent, and the Mayor wants justice for every single victim of these horrific...
At the hands of the perpetrators, but have been woefully let down by the authorities meant to protect them from harm.
The Met and this independent investigation must follow the evidence wherever it leads, and the Mayor will continue to support and hold the Met to account to ensure it does everything possible to tackle child sexual exploitation in London, including grooming gangs. And to that point, Nana, we do know Sir Mark Rowley, the Commissioner of the Met, he did say that they are looking at tens of cases after they were assessing thousands. And even he said, you know, people might get confused about what a grooming gang is, what it isn't. People might mistake it with inter-family abuse. So he understands, I think, the situation here. His force is now assessing those claims, so no one can say ever again that it's not a problem in London. We know it is.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's hope it's a thorough investigation. Now, if you just joined us, it is fast approaching 19 minutes after 10 o'clock. And on a lighter note, we have the Great British Giveaway. Your final week to make £76,543.21 yours. It is all tax-free, an incredible amount of money that could be won by you. Here's Hayley Sparks with all the details.
Welcome to the Imperial Island Resort in Paphos. Lines close tomorrow on your chance to win big this summer. There's an incredible £76,543.21 in tax-free cash to be won. Cash to spend however you like, which means you really could be enjoying the 5-star treatment this summer. Cheers! All that cash could take you on the trip of a lifetime, or just enable you to relax in the knowledge that the rest of the year is on us. You have to hurry though, because lines close at 4 p.m. tomorrow. Good luck!
For a chance to win £76,543.21 in tax-free cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 DE1, PO Box 8690, Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck, folks. Right, still ahead here on Britain's Newsroom. We are expecting temperatures to hit 40 degrees today. Woo! How are you coping with the heat? Nana's whooping at it.
I'm absolutely overjoyed. But up next, Andy Burnham has the support of Rachel Reeves. Oh, that's great. To become the new Prime Minister. But who would he choose to be his new Chancellor?
Well, we will be going through that and more with fan favourite Nigel Nelson and the infamous Carol Malone. What a combo. This is Britain's Newsroom, only on GB News.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. We can allow.
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable. What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, though. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
Because you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Right, it is 23 minutes after 10 o'clock. This is Britain's Newsroom with Charlie and Nana, and we're joined by GB News' senior political commentator Nigel Nelson and broadcaster and journalist Carol Malone. Right, should we start with the old Andy Burnham? Now, he's worried that he might end up with a bit of a Blair Brown kind of split if he chooses Ed Miliband as his Chancellor. I'd be a lot more worried about everything if I'd chosen Ed Miliband as Chancellor.
Completely. I mean, this country is divided on many things, but the one thing we're not divided on is that Ed Miliband is a loon and a maniac and a zealot who shouldn't be let anywhere near government. Everyone agrees on that.
Well, no, he would argue that he's none of those things. Well, he's a very respectable character who couldn't get...
But there are also plenty of people who have him in government who clearly...
Well, no one wants him in government. We don't even want him as Energy Secretary. But the bottom line is, you know, the country loathes him, and Burnham must know that. Yes, the party faithful love him, but the country loathes him. But more importantly, the markets... He personifies everything that the markets are terrified of about a prospective Burnham government. And already we know we're paying way over the odds for our debt because people are suspicious of Britain. If they put Miliband in charge of the Treasury, no one would loan us any money. They would just...
Who would you prefer?
Well, this is the point, Nigel, because your party doesn't have a single drop of talent in the whole party. There's no one that could be a good chancellor. There's talk of...
Given what we've got, I mean, whether you like them or not, given what we've got, who would you go for?
No, definitely, Miliband would be the last choice. Look at his record as an energy sector.
But who's your choice?
Look what he's done.
Who's
Thanks
the positive?
to his green fantasy policies, we have the most expensive energy in Europe. We are buying oil from Norway. There is drilling in the North Sea, and he stopped all that. So look at his record on money and what happens. It's catastrophic. So. OK, they're talking about Yvette Cooper. They always talk about her when there's a bit of a hole anywhere. So put her in the slot. She's useless as well. She would only manage the decline.
Right, well, you've written off Ed Miliband and Yvette Cooper.
OK, so I don't know, maybe John Healey, maybe Matt Fagin. They've got no pizzazz, but they're smarter,
but Wes Streeting's in the fray.
Yeah.
What does he know about money? What has he been involved in?
Well, you could argue that none of them know.
No. Well,
that'd be a pretty bad argument.
I'm going to agree with you. None of them know anything about money. And you said it.
Yeah.
But
any chancellor is not an expert in the...
Let's find somebody... Is there anybody in your cabinet who could potentially has run a business or done something that understands money, and not somebody who said they're at the bank...
But that's not the chancellor's job. The chancellor's job is to set policy.
No, but I'm asking, though, having an understanding of the impact of your policy is very important.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm asking if anyone there has any experience in running a business or anything which would make them a better bet than any of the others.
Well, I mean, Rachel Reeves has been out on the airwaves today pitching to keep her job. She has been doing the job for ever since Keir Starmer became Prime Minister. On the basis of that, she knows about the Treasury. She understands what it means to be Chancellor. And so far, the markets have been reasonably happy with her.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Well, they have been. I mean, you know, if you look at where the markets went with the Liz Truss budget, you can see where things can go really wrong.
That was a momentary thing, and it was gone. This has been a sustained 2 years under Rachel Reeves of her not knowing what she's doing. Every major thing that she does is a mistake, and she either has to backpedal on it or we lose money over it. She can't do the job.
OK, so you've ruled out Rachel Reeves, so we're then left with Shabana Mahmood.
She'd be better. Actually, yes.
But she wants to stay at the Home Office.
Yes. She should stay at the Home Office.
She probably should. She's the only one who,
the problem she'll have, Carol, and we're already seeing it with some of the briefing that's coming out now, is that as the whole of the Labour Party despises her perspectives on immigration because they are closer to what people in the country actually think, there is this campaign to perhaps water down her perspectives, water down her policies. So she might remain, but if and only if she agrees to more liberal rules on immigration.
I get that, Charlie. But the bottom line is, you know, they've just... The far left, what you're talking about, the party that actually does not support her... The bottom line is they can't afford another revolution now. They've just got rid of one Prime Minister that they don't like. They can't afford to make life hard for this one because the party will then go down the toilet. It will no longer be a mainstream party. So they can't be going up against Burnham with every appointment he makes. So I think, you know, he's got to be free to choose who he wants and let him do it. And the far left are just going to have to deal with it. Or Labour is consigned to the dustbin, I fear.
So who did you think would make a better...
Well, I mean, I think any of those choices are fine. I mean, Yvette Cooper doesn't seem to be in the frame, but yeah, I mean, I think Yvette Cooper would actually make a...
What does she ever do, though?
But that's rather like saying that you need to have a doctor running the health department. You don't.
Having some background that isn't in comms or the charities or the public sector would be helpful. And that's one of the problems for the Labour Party, is that at the moment, is it hasn't got... In its history, it's had workers and people who've been involved in business. Some senior...
They have. I mean, when I came into...
At the moment, there is that shortage, isn't there?
When I came into Parliament, that there were an awful lot of ex-miners who were Labour MPs. But if you were a miner, does that qualify you to be Secretary of State for Defence?
No, what it does qualify you to do is to be in touch with the people, to know what they want, to know what they need.
But that's what an MP does, and that's what your job is as an MP. I mean, the whole thing is you don't...
No, Nigel. If you're a Chancellor, you'll also be an MP. And if you're Chancellor, you need to have some sort of knowledge about impact of fiscal policies, understanding economics, and also maybe have experience of, again,
running a business.
Then if you're talking about experience, you're back to Ed Miliband again, who had experience of working in the Treasury before he became an MP.
But it's one thing to be a policy official and to tinker with other people's
which is their job. Which is their job.
That's the point I'm making. It's not other people's jobs that they're aware of, perhaps. They don't understand what it's like to have to look at your figures at the end of the month, work out who you're going to have to reduce their working hours, what bills you can and can't pay, what debt you're going to have to defer. Those are the problems that people are facing. And perhaps there is a disconnect between the Parliamentary Labour Party and the people who voted for them.
Well, you could argue that our system's wrong, that there's a disconnect between every politician and the people they're representing. The point is that they're not there to be the experts in those particular subjects. They're there to set... They're there to set policy. They're there to do...
But again, policy on the economy. So if we're specific and your job is the Chancellor, you have to understand a level of...
That's right. So someone like Ed Miliband would, for instance. Obviously, Rachel Reeves does.
And look at the mess she's made of it. She does have a knowledge of it, and she's made a complete...
Mistakes have been made. I agree with you. I think that their first big mistake, and probably is where Keir Starmer's premiership began to go down the tubes, was over taking away the winter fuel payment from pensioners.
Before that, Nigel, sorry, Carol, but before that, maybe I want your perspective on this, was the first thing they did, perhaps, to take away any of the feel-good factor is to talk about this black hole in the economy.
Oh, it's terrible.
And to start saying, oh, it's way worse than we thought it was.
It's going to get worse before it gets better.
But then also, we've got a black hole, but then lead to loads more spending. Do you think that was a mistake? And there might be a change now under Andy Burnham, even though he's seen as more left-wing, well, no one really knows what he actually thinks. There could be a moment now for a bit of restraint. And actually, potentially, if they finally realise after 2 years that this misery and spending combination didn't work, there might be a bit more of a reduction in government spending now. Is that a possibility, you think?
I think Burnham, everything he does will be about shoring up his position. And I think if he puts Miliband in the Treasury as Chancellor, I think he will immediately put the backs up of the British people, and he's going to start off on a really bad foot, which is exactly what Starmer did. And he's not going to want to do that. So I think in terms of what he's going to do, I think everything he does will be in terms of self-preservation and what looks best for him. But I am at a loss to think who he's going to pick if he doesn't pick Miliband. I
see Yvette Cooper moving into that space simply because she's harmless.
Yes.
Useless. She's useless in my view. Not being horrible, but I can't really think of anything that she.
There's no point really then on that basis.
I think they put her there.
I like her though. She's harmless and useless.
But they put her there
and get experts to help her.
But she's non-offensive, so it's one of those people you can put her there. Yvette Cooper. Yeah. All right. She can be foreign. She can be the foreign officer. She can do this. She can do that. We'll just move her around like a chess
piece. We need something radical here.
But we don't have anybody radical. That is the problem. She's the least offensive person. At least she won't create headlines every day, the way Miliband almost certainly will.
All right, Nigel, Carol, thank you very much. Very quickly before we go, are you enjoying the hot weather, yes or no?
I'm loving it, but I'm hating the way this country's handling it. Can we talk about it in the next section?
Next. Nigel?
I'm a bit like that on the hot weather.
Yeah, OK.
Would you rather it was cold?
I'd rather be in an air-conditioned place like this.
Yes, me too. We're not going
Hang around, Nigel. All right, let's go now to Tatiana Sanchez for your 60-second news update. Oh, maybe.
Good morning. The top stories. A hosepipe ban is introduced for thousands of customers in Kent due to high temperatures and record demand for water, South East Water has said. And it comes after the warmest June night on record in the UK. Extreme heat is expected again today, and the UK's June temperature record could be broken for the second day in a row. Elsewhere, at least 32 people have been killed and 700 are injured after buildings collapsed in Venezuela's capital, Caracas, following powerful back-to-back earthquakes. The country's acting president's declared a state of emergency. Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper has announced a new package worth almost £290 million to bolster Ukraine's recovery and energy security ahead of the Ukraine Recovery Conference. And Scotland fans face an anxious wait to discover if the team has qualified for the knockout stages of a major tournament for the first time. Steve Clarke's side lost 3-0 to Brazil in Miami, but a third-place finish in Group C means they could still make the last 32 of the World Cup. Those are the latest headlines for now. More from me at 11 o'clock.
Take the GB News family with you on any device. As long as you have an internet connection, tune into GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond.
Thank you, Tatiana. Up next, Scotland's World Cup dream is hanging on by a thread. After Brazil beat them 3-0, they were never going to beat Brazil, were they? I mean, come on. Well, we'll hear from some hopeful Scots who are keeping the faith. This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The Met Office amber extreme heat warning remains in place today over parts of southern England, the Midlands and South East Wales. A broader amber warning area also in place covering most of England and Wales. Yes, another hot and sunny day for the majority. A little bit cooler maybe along the south coast and some mist and low cloud along the east coast. More comfortable conditions for Scotland and Northern Ireland. Plenty of sunshine here, the main exception being the far north where the rain could turn heavier later on. Temperatures across Scotland, low to mid-20s, perhaps further south we're talking mid-30s, maybe high 30s inland over parts of the Midlands, southeast Wales and southern England. The humidity is also high, hence the health risk. That's why we've got the warnings in place. Some heavy downpours also possible later across northern Scotland. This zone of wet weather likely to pep up through the course of the day, but sunny spells through central and eastern Scotland. It's a pretty warm day here. 1 or 2 showers possible in Northern Ireland. For most of England and Wales, it's hot and sunny. The coast's a little cooler, but later in the day, the threat of thundery showers coming up from the south, from France into the Channel Islands, then potentially into southwest England, where we have a Met Office yellow warning in place. Some really lively gusts of wind, along with a lot of flashes of lightning associated with those thundery showers, which may then spread more widely. So some big downpours possible. May get woken up by a flash of lightning or a rumble of thunder. You may not be sleeping anyway because of the temperatures. Again, a very warm and humid night. Heat warning, the amber extreme heat warning is in place now for central and eastern England on Friday. Could be some early showers here. Some heavy downpours possible again for Scotland and Northern Ireland, where it will be that bit cooler. Turning a little cooler in western parts of England and Wales tomorrow as well, but still over central and eastern England with the sun beating down. Temperatures could again get into the mid to high 30s. Full details of all our warnings on the Met Office website.
Thank you, Britain, for all of you who listen to GB News Radio.
Whether you're at home or on the go, you're making us Britain's news channel and Britain's radio station.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M8 westbound slip road at Junction 10 remains closed due to crucial daytime roadworks needing completion. In Stockton-on-Tees, on the A19 northbound between junctions A66 and A1046, a traffic collision has forced the closure of 1 out of 3 lanes, with normal conditions expected just after 11:45 this morning. Train travellers should anticipate major disruption on both East Midlands Railway and Thameslink services, particularly between London St Pancras International and Bedford, with hot weather potentially affecting journey times. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
It's 10:38. Welcome back. You're watching Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Well, Scotland, they lost the second World Cup group game with a bruising 3-0 defeat. Let's be honest, Scottish people, beautiful, beautiful place. But I wouldn't have put any money on them winning that.
Well, good thing you didn't. The benefit of hindsight, I suppose.
Well, I think it's obvious.
Do you know, I had a bit of faith with them. They're just defensively a bit shoddy yesterday, unfortunately.
But Brazil, you know, like they're kind of one of those big-name teams.
Yeah, but they've had...
bit like Argentina, aren't they? It's difficult. You're not going to get...
They've been known to not perform on the big occasion. And Scotland, you know, they have an exciting streak.
Do you know when they last won the World Cup? If they ever have? Have they ever won the World Cup?
Have they ever won the World Cup?
Have they ever won
Brazil?
the World Cup? Scotland.
Five-time winners?
I'm talking about Scotland.
Oh, 0 times. They've never been to the knockouts in the
Exactly,
yeah.
So that's why I'm saying that when you see them playing against Brazil, nothing against Scotland, and I'm sure they knew that they weren't going to win, even though they gave it their all. But
football loves an underdog now. These things happen. But yes,
well, I would have loved to have seen it, but I knew, you know.
Well, our national reporter Sophie Reaper has a report for us after that loss.
Well, it was a disappointing night for the Tartan Army, wasn't it? That 3-0 result, really not what they were hoping for. A win would have seen them sailing through that group stage and get to the furthest point they ever have in an international tournament. However, that 3-0 loss was not what Steve Clarke and his side would have been looking for. Instead, it puts them in an incredibly precarious position. In fact, it's looking really rather unlikely that they'll be making it through that group stage, but they've got a few other results to see come in before they fully know their fate. However, as we know, when it comes to our fabulous Scottish fans, the atmosphere here was unbelievable. The atmosphere over in the States has been unbelievable with those fans. They still have hope. And of course, we know when it comes to the World Cup, when it comes to football, no Scotland, no party. I had a chance to catch up with some of the fans after the game, and although some of them were very disappointed, some of them still had a sliver of hope.
Well, it was quite good since it was my first time watching them, and it's good for memories, but the result was quite bad for me.
Well, it's like 42% in it. I mean, it's not ideal, but something we can work with at least, you know. But you're just waiting for Lady Luck, really, now.
Being Scotland supporters, we're used to getting beat, you know. So if we get through, then we'll be here again to party, as we always do.
I think they've done well tonight, with the goalkeeper getting out and things. So I think we've still got a chance if we get in.
So there you go. Some hope, lots of disappointment, though. I think the Scotland fans would have been at least hoping to see a goal from their side. And although they did have various opportunities, it just wasn't to be, unfortunately, for Scotland tonight. But as I say, they still have a tiny, tiny chance to make it through to the next stage. And I'm sure all of us here at GB News will be wishing them the very best as they find out their fate in the coming days.
Right, well, I have heard from David Hammond, Nana, on gbnews.com/your say, who says, to be fair, if Scotland did win the World Cup, they would probably just deep fry it, which is quite an extraordinary perspective. I suppose the trophy the Jules Rimet, does look, in a sense, slightly, you know, the golden deep fry glisten, perhaps.
Well, I would
it's not a Mars bar, but...
to see. I'd love to see Scotland win the World Cup. I mean, it would be amazing, or even perhaps get through to the next round, which would be really, really good.
Well, they've got to be lucky losers, haven't they? They need to rely on other teams to do worse.
I have a feeling that they might just be lucky losers. So, but I've got to say thank you to Linda for the lovely message that she sent regarding all the things we're talking about, and also she's a huge fan of the channel. She's in Scotland.
She's in Scotland.
So, Linda, I hope you still like me after I said that they were never going to beat us.
No chance, Linda.
I didn't mean, but I love Scotland, but I just didn't think that they were going to win, sadly. And they didn't.
So. And they didn't, but they had a go, and they certainly have brought a lot of cheer to wherever they've been. The tens of thousands of them in Boston, was it even 100,000?
Oh, yes, and they love them in America. They love the Scottish people.
I saw some airline adverts. They're a very dynamic and capitalist society in the United States. Adverts change according to what's going on the ground immediately. And United Airlines have put up a billboard that said, "Visit your new friends from Scotland," advertising their flights to Glasgow and Edinburgh on the massive billboards around Boston. I think they've gone down a storm there. And do you know what's also been lovely is how many expats, English expats in Texas, for example, where we've played, and also in Boston, have been sort of coming out and meeting all the England fans. And this old but obviously wholly false view of English football fans, of hooligans of the 70s, I think people have been pleasantly surprised by just how lovely the GB fans have been.
Yes. Now, we've got a couple of messages on the other subjects that we've been talking about. We're talking about Rachel Reeves, because she's sort of kind of creeping around because she wants probably to keep her job. But having said it, when we had a discussion, we realised there's actually nobody else who could even has any idea about economics. But Ruth said Rachel from accounts is so transparent. She's making out that she's Burnham's best friend, hoping that he'll let her keep her job as Chancellor. God forbid, as another viewer suggested. Martin Lewis should be at the top of the list. He can become a politician in a day, just like Burnham, couldn't he? You make a great point. I want to see somebody who is a Chancellor who understands the economy.
But who is that, Nana? Who's that in the Labour team?
That's exactly what I asked Nigel, because they're saying, oh, we'll have Ed Miliband. Ed Miliband, the arbiter of net zero. I mean, we'll blame Theresa May originally and the Conservatives, but they didn't have to carry it on, and they have. And Ed Miliband is talking about windmills, which I don't think they turn in this heat, solar panels, which, as you said, catch on fire in this heat.
They just don't work.
They don't work. So it's just... We've got people in charge of things they don't understand, and we're now about to try and find a Chancellor, but again, I don't hold much hope.
I think one of the things that will be reflected on with where Sir Keir Starmer's premiership went wrong was when he failed to sack Ed Miliband. When Miliband refused to be sacked and Sir Keir Starmer just sort of bottled it and stood back and didn't know what to do, it totally distracted from this drive for growth, which never really actually pushed for any economic growth. But there we go. It's all done now. Lessons learnt, or maybe they haven't been.
No, they haven't at all. But stay with us, because up next we'll be joined by one former Reform councillor who defected from the Tories and says that it was the biggest mistake of his life.
Yeah, he's lost friends in both camps, I think, that lad. We'll be speaking to him very shortly.
We'll find out why.
But first, if you're in search for some holiday sun, not hot enough for you here, here's the forecast for some of the top European destinations.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
It's not just the UK with exceptional heat, also much of France and pushing further north into Germany and Poland as well. Northern parts of Spain also very hot. Possibility of one or two showers drifting towards Madeira as we go through Friday night. Small chance of one or two showers in Portugal and across the far south of Italy. But for most of Italy, it is hot and sunny. Same goes for Croatia, and we'll continue to see temperatures building, particularly in Italy and Croatia over the next few days. Rome could be up to 40 Celsius by Monday.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
The final preparations before a world first. At RAF Wittering in Cambridgeshire, these JCB mechanics and engineers are attempting to rewrite history, chasing a world land speed record with a hydrogen car. The JCB Hydromax puts out 1,600 horsepower, powered entirely by two hydrogen-fuelled internal combustion engines. The 32-foot-long vehicle is trying to beat JCB's existing record, which was achieved with a diesel engine back in 2006. It reached a speed of over 350 miles an hour. For chairman of JCB Lord Bamford, the new car is about pushing the boundaries of new technology.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Father's Day has long been a fixture in the family calendar. But as household budgets remain under pressure, some are questioning whether the tradition of buying gifts is beginning to fade. Jim Cox has worked in the gift-giving industry for more than 30 years and says Father's Day simply isn't the draw it once was.
We're kind of reliant on the big gifting period. Father's Day is probably the weakest of the bigger gifting events. It's picked up a bit this week, but probably not as much as I would expect. And I think generally people, average basket size isn't really where I'd want it either. So I think people are spending a bit less, being a bit careful, and also thinking general trend in gifting is thinking maybe about experiences and spending time with people.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
What does it do for people who are wounded, injured or sick veterans? What does it do for them to do this sort of voyage on this wonderful sailing ship?
Good morning. It is that human impact, and that's why Turn to Starboard exists, and even at the Invictus Games, Birmingham 2027. It's about giving people maybe a reset, maybe seeing, taking that breath, but also a bit of camaraderie as well. Literally everybody's in the same boat. The blue environment is completely different. Everything is different on a boat. Walking, sitting down, making a cup of tea, even going to the loo is slightly different. So we can give people a break from sort of the pressures of life.
GB News, the People's Channel.
49 minutes after 10 o'clock. Good morning to you. This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Now, the Kent councillor Robbie Lammas has said that he regrets having made the decision to defect to Reform UK from the Conservative Party. He called it the worst decision of his life.
Well, I'm pleased to say that Councillor Robbie Lammas joins us in the studio to tell us why. All right, I mean, what's going on?
Well, good morning. Thanks for having me. I left because it wasn't what I signed up for. I was told that Reform is an alternative Conservative party and they wanted to professionalise and bring in people with experience. My reality of being inside Reform is that it's not the case at all. They're not Conservative and, unfortunately, they're not very professional either.
Well, I think professionalise the party was sort of more making sure that it was a party and not a company, which is kind of what it was. So I think they've done that. I think Nigel Farage has relinquished his major share in it. But what specifically was it about them that you felt was unprofessional and not what you'd signed up for?
Disorganisation, lack of proper vetting of their local candidates, not proper checking in terms of people's opinion. I encountered episodes locally of racism, including against myself. Apparently, I'm less than because I'm a quarter Dutch. Now, I appreciate there are good and bad in all parties. You know, I want to say that. You know, and I point to the fact that my former group leader on Medway in Kent, where I was sitting as a Reform councillor, has actually come out and said some nice things about me. So there are good in all parties, but it's absolutely not what I signed up for at all whatsoever.
So Robbie, why did you make the decision to leave an alternative Conservative party? If I just finish, Robbie, because all the points made by Reform was that it's not the Conservative Party. I mean, surely you'd heard Nigel Farage saying the Tories are dead as a national party. We don't want any more Tories after May the 7th. The Conservatives are a huge, massive lump of failure in his perspective. Why on earth were you hearing that and going, oh, look, it's the alternative Tories?
They weren't saying that last year when I joined. Last year they were saying they wanted to turn the pirate ship into a ship of the line, if you remember. The Conservative Party also had, at that time, not committing to leaving the European Court of Human Rights and the other policy things that Kemi, to her credit, has actually moved the Conservative Party into now. She's filled that vacuum that was left when she first took over, and she's actually doing brilliantly.
So you've seen policy developments from the Conservatives, you've left them to join Reform, and you now think, oh dear, I've left the credible party that had good ideas to join something that was more popular. You've sort of upset both camps now. Do you think there's a way for you to return to the Tories?
I would like to think so, but I'm not naive. I upset a great deal of many people when I left the Conservative Party. I completely underestimated how upset some people would have been with me. I have apologised. I have written to Kemi to
What did you do to upset them, though? Because it's one thing leaving.
Leaving, that was it.
So it's just leaving. You didn't leave in a ball of fire.
No.
I can't stand you.
No, this is the thing that's interesting, is that I've been entirely consistent with my views. I am a Conservative. I always have had Conservative beliefs. I was told that they are welcome in Reform. They are not. What other people do when they came over is they kind of go on this ritualistic purging exercises of denigrating everything that Conservatives have ever done.
And
That's not me.
You didn't do that?
Absolutely not.
To be fair, Kemi Badenoch has changed the party, so the thing that you left, if you'd given her a chance, perhaps the fact is you didn't give her a chance to see what would happen with her at the helm.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. I think my experience inside the Conservative Party formally led me to falsely believe that the Tory party would never actually change. You know, it's a huge ask to change an institution like that after the worst defeat in their history. And to Kemi's credit, she's actually gone and done it.
You want to go back, don't you?
I would like to go back.
And Robbie, do you think that one of the reasons why, just speaking as honestly as you can, one of the reasons why you made this transition over to Reform UK is that it was ambition, it was self-interest, you wanted a better job in a different party? Because that's the response that we've had from Reform UK, that you were denied a number of top jobs in their headquarters, and that's why you then got frustrated.
I was Chief of Staff to a Conservative MP, and I left that job. When I joined Reform, at the beginning, I, of course, applied for jobs at the beginning, because that was my profession at the time. I was actually offered a job, but turned it down, which I think, in hindsight, was probably a good thing. And ever since then, I've stayed in the party for months and months and months after that point, trying to make the best of it, trying to improve things and organise things locally on the ground.
Well, look, I don't know. I'm not sure whether they'll take you back, but if you really want to go back to the Conservatives, then maybe they'll reconsider you because, you know, I think quite a few people are getting disappointed with Reform.
Lots of people inside Reform who did the same thing as me realise they've made a huge mistake, but unlike me, they're not prepared to admit it.
Well, Robbie Lammers, thank you very much for your time this morning. Reform UK said that they did not agree with the assessment made by Robbie, and that also he'd been issued with a formal warning for his conduct. Well, there we go. Well, up next is Kay Badenoch, the Queen of the Commons. She refused to apologise after a PMQs row. Find out after the break.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The Met Office amber extreme heat warning remains in place today over parts of southern England, the Midlands and South East Wales. A broader amber warning area also in place covering most of England and Wales. Yes, another hot and sunny day for the majority. A little bit cooler maybe along the south coast and some mist and low cloud along the east coast. More comfortable conditions for Scotland and Northern Ireland. Plenty of sunshine here, the main exception being the far north where the rain could turn heavier later on. Temperatures across Scotland, low to mid-20s, perhaps further south we're talking mid-30s, maybe high 30s inland over parts of the Midlands, southeast Wales and southern England. The humidity is also high, hence the health risk. That's why we've got the warnings in place. Some heavy downpours also possible later across northern Scotland. This zone of wet weather likely to pep up through the course of the day, but sunny spells through central and eastern Scotland. It's a pretty warm day here. 1 or 2 showers possible in Northern Ireland. For most of England and Wales, it's hot and sunny. The coast's a little cooler, but later in the day, the threat of thundery showers coming up from the south, from France into the Channel Islands, then potentially into southwest England, where we have a Met Office yellow warning in place. Some really lively gusts of wind, along with a lot of flashes of lightning associated with those thundery showers, which may then spread more widely. So some big downpours possible. You may get woken up by a flash of lightning or a rumble of thunder. You may not be sleeping anyway because of the temperatures. Again, a very warm and humid night. Heat warning, the amber extreme heat warning is in place now for central and eastern England on Friday. Could be some early showers here. Some heavy downpours possible again for Scotland and Northern Ireland, where it will be that bit cooler. Turning a little cooler in western parts of England and Wales tomorrow as well, but still over central and eastern England with the sun beating down. Temperatures could again get into the mid to high 30s. Full details of all our warnings on the Met Office website.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello from the Imperial Island Resort in Paphos, and it's the final week to see how you could win big in time for summer. Someone has to win our stunning cash prize of £76,543.21. Just don't miss out as lines close on the 26th of June.
For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me. What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans? Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account. You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get this on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel. As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that they're a country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
It's 11 a.m. on Thursday, the 25th of June, live across the United Kingdom. This is Britain's Newsroom with Charlie Peters and Nana Aquia.
Hot, hot, hot.
Morning, another day of extreme heat and high humidity. Met Office extreme heat warnings are in place, and those warnings continue into the weekend. Not as hot across Scotland and Northern Ireland. Some sunshine here, but some heavy rain later in northern Scotland, and then later on the potential for some thunderstorms moving in across the south. There's a lot going on. Join me later for all the details.
Oh, it's amazing, isn't it? It's fabulous. Britain bakes in record-breaking temperatures with schools, trains and tourist attractions shutting down, and it is getting hotter.
Well, for those who are lucky enough to have the day off, they're enjoying the beach here in Bournemouth. For most, though, it's business as usual. I'm going to be chatting to a manager of a restaurant here who will talk about just how tough these conditions are to work in.
Andy who? The US President Donald Trump is giving GB News his considered verdict on the Prime Ministerial frontrunner, Mr. Burnham.
About who?
The new incoming Prime Minister, Andy Burnham.
I don't know anything. I see that he was, I guess, the mayor of a town. I hear he's extremely liberal.
Well, I'm backing Andy Burnham to be our next Prime Minister.
Yes, Andy Burnham has the support of Chancellor Rachel Reeves. Lucky him. Yes, she's supporting him by the sounds of it, but has she actually admitted that she's losing her role in the cabinet?
I'm really proud of my record as Chancellor, and I know that whoever is Prime Minister and whoever is Chancellor in a few weeks' time will inherit a stronger economy than the one that I inherited.
They've abandoned him. And what for? A pair of eyelashes and a black T-shirt.
Well, the Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch, she's come under fire for her strong language at PMQs. She called Bridget Phillipson spiteful. She called the Prime Minister's front bench team traitors. And Andy Burnham, he's responded to that black T-shirt and eyelashes jibe.
It's dark blue, actually.
Well, breaking overnight, a double earthquake hits Venezuela with mass casualties feared. We will have the latest on that.
Being Scotland supporters, we're used to getting beat, you know, so if we get through, then we'll be here again to party, like.
Oh, we're used to getting beat, poor things. The Tartan army was trounced, but Scotland's World Cup dream, it's hanging by a thread after that 3-0 loss to Brazil.
Now, you see, I, a little while ago, actually it was a couple of years ago, did a monologue on why I love Kemi Badenoch. And it was after she took down Dawn Butler. And I found that fantastic. As I did a whole monologue, my niggle on that. And this is why I love her, because of the fact, the way she's taken down Bridget Phillipson, which I agree with her comments, because it's just such a spiteful raise, the VAT raise on private schools, and the comments that Bridget Phillipson made about posh kids with AstroTurf and stuff like that. But what does irritate me is that they spend so much time complaining about the language and they're not doing anything. I mean, what what are the Labour Party doing? We want them to get on with the boats and everything else like that.
Yes, there is this hypersensitivity that's been creeping into our politics for a while now, and they use people, I think, in very poor taste, the memory of MPs slain by terrorists and violence to say, oh, you can't say that in the chamber, or you can't use that sort of language, don't criticise us too severely, because that adds to an atmosphere of violence. I remember once Jess Phillips said about Jeremy Corbyn, I'd like to stab him in the front and the back, or something along those lines. Well, I mean, fair enough. I mean, that's her view. And people had a massive meltdown about this, saying, oh, that's going to lead to people being attacked in Parliament. No, we need our MPs. We need to free them from the shackles. Let them say what they think.
That's a bit strong, though.
See, you're doing it now.
No, I'm not.
Is it because you don't like Jess Phillips?
No, because it's a violent act, isn't it, what you're saying?
It's not actual stabbing, but...
Yeah, but no. But I get it. I mean, it sounds like someone could interpret that literally. And so I think that's why when they say someone gets shot and all that, get shot of someone.
Woke queer.
No, I'm not being woke.
Queer.
I would, but I don't. I think you have to consider that there are people who are nutters out there sometimes.
I think we should be able to speak freely, speak honestly, and trust people to do the right thing.
Yes, the majority of people will do, but there's a bunch of nutters out there who will do the absolute, who are crazy. So you have to be careful.
What do you think, folks? Where do you stand where Nana Queer and I are on this? Let us know, GBNews.
I agree with Kemi, though, on her comments.
She agrees with Kemi.
Kemi,
I can't say anything.
Kemi, she's definitely not
She's not a Kemi.
First, let's get your latest news with Tatiana Sanchez.
Thank you very much. The top story. South East Water says a hosepipe ban has been introduced for around 850,000 customers in Kent due to high temperatures and record demand for water. It says the warmest June night on record in the UK yesterday at 36.1 degrees. That was recorded in Hampshire. Meanwhile, hundreds of schools have been shut across England and Wales, and transport's also been disrupted. The heatwave is forecast to continue into Friday with a further high of about 38 degrees possible. A red extreme heat warning has been issued by the Met Office across parts of South and Central England and South Wales, and that remains in place until midnight tonight. Rachel Reeves says she is backing Andy Burnham to be the UK's next Prime Minister amid speculation she could be replaced as Chancellor if he takes office.
I'm backing Andy Burnham to be our next Prime Minister. I've known Andy for, 16, 17 years now. He's a good friend of mine. But any choices for the new Prime Minister will be their choices to make, including who's in the Cabinet. I'm really proud of my record as Chancellor, and I know that whoever is Prime Minister and whoever is Chancellor in a few weeks' time will inherit a stronger economy than the one that I inherited 2 years ago when I became Chancellor.
Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has weighed in on Sir Keir Starmer's potential replacement with a question from GB News' Bev Turner.
But who?
The new incoming Prime Minister, Andy Burnham.
I don't know anything. I see that he was, I guess, the mayor of a town. I hear he's extremely liberal. I have had every oil company come to see me. Sir, could you give us access to the UK? We would do anything to drill in the North Sea. And they haven't even found what's there. The amazing thing is they buy their oil from Norway, which gets the oil from the North Sea. Think of it. And they pay a big premium. Norway's got now $2 trillion in the bank, and UK is dying. So they should open up the North Sea. It's an easy one, and a lot of good things are going to happen.
Elsewhere, at least 32 people have been killed and 700 are injured after buildings collapsed in Venezuela's capital, Caracas, following powerful back-to-back earthquakes. The country's acting president declared a state of emergency. She also says rescuers from other countries are going to be arriving in the coming hours, and she also thanked Donald Trump for his support. The US Geological Survey says it's initially estimating the death toll would most likely range from 10,000 to 100,000. Meanwhile, 8 bodies were found in a state of advanced deterioration in the mortuary of an NHS trust in March after hospitals ran out of freezer space. An inspection of the Queen's Medical Centre in Nottingham by the regulator, the Human Tissue Authority, also found insufficient identity checks meant there was a risk of the wrong bodies being released to families. Mortuary care at the Nottingham University Hospital's NHS trust was strongly criticised by independent review chair Donna Ockenden yesterday when she revealed hundreds of local families had experienced poor maternity care. The trust said it was truly sorry for not meeting the standards expected of it. New cases of obesity are rising fastest in younger adults in England, a study has suggested. Rates of new diagnosis for people in their 30s were nearly 20% higher in 2024 to 25 than they were in 2019 to 20, according to the study published in The Lancet. For people in their 20s, new cases jumped by 16%. These increases were higher than in older age groups, although the most common ages for diagnosis remained the 40s and 50s. And Scotland fans face an anxious wait to discover if the teams qualified for the knockout stages of a major tournament for the first time. Steve Clarke's side lost 3-0 to Brazil in Miami, but a third-place finish in Group C means they could still make the last 32 of the World Cup. The men's teams failed to progress beyond the group stages at 8 World Cups and 4 European Championships. Those are the latest headlines. For now, more from me at 11:30.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Hello and welcome, and thank you, Tatiana. You're watching Britain's Newsroom live across the United Kingdom on GB News with Charlie Peters and Nana Acquia.
Yeah, good morning to you. Now, the leader of the Conservatives, Kemi Badenoch, sparked controversy yesterday by attacking members of Sir Keir Starmer's cabinet. She issued this brutal attack against Chancellor Rachel Reeves.
The truth is, he wouldn't be in this mess if his Chancellor had found money for the Defence Investment Plan. She lives next door to him, but wouldn't even come out to stand by him during his resignation speech. She was too busy getting ready for a selfie with the new leader. Does the Prime Minister feel let down by his Chancellor?
Well, next in line for the Badenoch Barbs was Ed Miliband, the Energy Secretary.
The Energy Secretary is putting up bills and killing jobs. He was, he's not here, is he? He was a failed Labour leader, rejected by the electorate, brought back from the wilderness by this man, and when the going got tough, he jumped into bed with the Mayor of Manchester. Yeah, it's not the first time he's betrayed someone close to him, is it?
Oh, before then lashing out at the Education Secretary, Bridget Phillipson.
He taxed private schools to pay for more teachers, but the number of teachers has gone down. Yeah. It turns out appointing a spiteful class warrior as Education Secretary was a disaster.
Of course, Kemi Badenoch has refused to apologise on the back of all this. And of course, Nana, as we were saying before the headlines, why on earth should she? This is politics. You're meant to be critical.
Absolutely. Well, parliamentary sketch writer for the Daily Mail, Quentin Letts, joins us now. Well, I felt it was a masterclass. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But it seems a lot of people are getting their knickers in a twist because they don't like what she was saying. But I think a lot of the British public will be thinking, good on her.
I think only one person's really getting her knickers in a twist, and that's Bridget Phillipson. I think everyone else loved it, including quite a lot of people on the Labour benches, and I suspect people even who are Labour ministers quite enjoyed it. Because the thing about Bridget, I mean, were you to say this, spiteful class warrior at someone like the Archbishop of Canterbury, I think that would be outrageous. But to say it at Bridget Phillipson seems to me probably true. And also, Bridget, for years, has dished it out. She's a pretty sort of, as a parliamentary persona, she's a sour creation. And therefore, if you're going to dish it out, then you've got to be able to take it. And so what we saw yesterday was Kemi Badenoch giving Bridget back a bit of her own, and scary Bridget screaming and shouting and jumping up and down saying, you can't say that at me. Well, why not?
Well, Quentin, there's been a furious reaction from other Labour MPs as well, allies of the Education Secretary. But is this not maybe a pause for thought for them to reflect on Angela Rayner calling Conservatives scum, which was also then met with concern by Conservatives? Is this not an opportunity actually for all people in politics to just say, this is the job, OK, we should be allowed to be severe and critical of one another, and everyone being a bit hoity-toity about this and trying to be, lecturing each other on appropriate language, is it not a bit pathetic?
Well, really, this is about much more than just language. Were you to give the impression this was just about people calling each other rude names, then I might be a little wary of agreeing with Kemi Badenoch. But actually, what she was saying yesterday was strongly rooted in policy that affects people's lives. Now, this wasn't just about the 20% fee increase on independent schools or from VAT. It wasn't just about that. There's a much wider issue here about Bridget Phillipson, in that she's been imposing, in a rather Marxist way, a left-wing view on state academy schools and free schools. And she's been taking away the freedom of those state schools to teach what they want to and to hire the teachers that they want to. So when you say class warrior, class of course means class in the class sense of a school class as well. She's been doing this to more than just private school kids. She's been wrecking this is what Kemi Badenoch would say, she's been wrecking the life chances of kids, poor kids, in state schools. And so this really matters. This isn't just about rude words.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's the thing. To me, the difference here is that Kemi Badenoch is referring to policy, because Bridget Phillipson isn't she currently engaging in decolonisation of the curriculum, which, again, what that even means and why she has the audacity to go in and think that she should be changing things around because of her potential perspective of things, I think is terrible.
But one of the things she's done is to stop state schools teaching Latin so easily. It's because she thinks that Latin is a sort of posh subject. Only kids at Eton should do Latin, Bridget seems to think. And that seems to me madness. I mean, Latin has many redeeming qualities, makes people speak English better. And therefore, I think those sort of things should be available to all children, particularly to youngsters who are from poor backgrounds, so that they can rise up.
OK, Quentin Letts, the sketch writer, parliamentary sketch writer for the Daily Mail. Thank you very much for your take this morning. Right, just some breaking news to bring you now. A person has died and a child is in hospital with life-threatening injuries after their car was struck by a train at a level crossing.
Now, the incident happened just before 9 this morning at a crossing in Houghton near Preston, in Lancashire. Paramedics and the fire service are in attendance, but there have been no other injuries reported from the passengers on the train at the time.
We will, of course, keep you updated with any developments on that very upsetting news as we get them throughout the morning.
All right, well, if you just joined us, welcome on board. It is just coming up to 17 minutes after 11 o'clock, and temperatures are set to break records again today, after yesterday was declared the hottest day in June ever, with new highs of 36.1 degrees Celsius recorded.
Yes, the Met Office has also just extended its red warning for extreme heat until 9 p.m. on Friday for London and parts of South East England.
Right, well, let's go to Bournemouth, where GBNews reporter Isabel Fekulak is live, and she joins us now. Isabel, has the beach got even more crowded yet?
Yes, good morning to you both. Well, the beach here is still getting packed up with people still arriving by the minute with their umbrellas, their beach bags ready to go. As you can see behind me, it's pretty filled up. People are cooling off in the sea, and as you said there, that red heat by the Met Office extended now to Friday till tomorrow at 9 p.m. We saw that record-breaking temperature yesterday, 36.1 degrees in Gosport. Also, another broken record last night as the temperature didn't drop below 23.5 degrees. So that's the highest minimum temperature in June. Could today be another record breaker? Well, I have to say there's a bit of a breeze. It's feeling quite a bit cooler than it was yesterday. It's about 30 degrees currently here. And for those that are lucky enough, they're enjoying the sunshine on the beach. However, of course, for many, it's business as usual. And working in these conditions can be extremely tough. I'm here at Harry Ramsden's restaurant in Bournemouth, and I'm joined now by Mo. Hello, you're the general manager here. I mean, tell me just how tough it is to work in these conditions.
I mean, it's not really tough. Obviously, we've got air cons here, we've got fans in the kitchen as well as the takeaway, so it does the job. The staff, as long as the staff are happy, it does the job for me.
And in the kitchen, you say that you've got some fans, but I can imagine it's kind of that extra bit more intense, the heat in there.
It is, yeah, but I've got some. I mean, we do have hydration drinks, etc. for the staff. We bring drinks from outside, especially for the staff. It is a bit hard, but they do their job.
Now, yesterday, the Mayor of London, Sir Sadiq Khan, said that there should be a maximum working temperature. I mean, do you agree? Do you think that at some point a line needs to be drawn where you say it's kind of too hot to work?
I disagree on that. It's business as usual. So, yeah.
Got to keep on going.
You've got to keep on going. Got to do your job. So, yeah.
And in terms of business, obviously, you're selling fish and chips. You must have had a bit of a boost in the last couple of days and when these heat waves come in.
Oh yeah, well, it's English tradition. So if you're by the seaside, you want your fish and chips. So that's what we're here for.
Brilliant. I might be getting myself some fish and chips later on today. Thank you very much for joining. So maybe not as bad for some who have this aircon and fans, maybe even better than being on the beach in the direct sunlight. Of course, warnings to stay out of the heat in the heat of the day between 11 and 3 o'clock. Obviously wearing sun cream, staying hydrated. Those are all the precautions that people are being told to make today.
All right, Isabel Fekilak, thank you very much. Really good to talk to you. Yes, lovely, isn't it? She did actually pose an interesting question there with regard to whether the government should have like a limit, a temperature limit, that if it's that temperature, then businesses can close. You can't work in that temperature. I think there is already something in place. But what do you think, Charlie? Do you think there should be sort of a maximum temperature?
I really feel for tradesmen that this sort of moment, sort of plasterers or those working in outdoors, builders, roofers, in those sorts of conditions, you know, that's heavy graft. I mean, at least a lot of them start early so they can get their work done before, because they're in the sun all day.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine, yeah, you grafting relentlessly. They get taxed on it to misery as well. I think a lot of those guys on the roofs are just thinking, what am I doing this for? When loads of people are just sitting around. I think a lot of them posting about that online.
Yeah.
You know, they're basically, I mean, some of these guys, because it's so hot and so sunny, they're on roofs and they're basically wearing more layers than they would normally just to protect themselves from the sun.
From the sun, yeah, I imagine. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, there might be a maximum temperature and the companies must ensure that if their workers are there, that they can bring temperatures down to protect the workers if you can.
Get cheap energy and get aircon, and we don't need to have this discussion, will we?
But I'm sure solar panels in other countries work really well in the heat.
Yes.
So is it just in this country that we seem to be struggling? Because I know some of the hot countries, I'd like to know that, because I'm wondering, I think a lot of the hot countries use solar panels.
How do they manage it in Oman and we can't?
Yeah, because I'm not buying the idea. Well, maybe they've brought some cheap ones from Russia and China, which is where they get them from, which Ed Miliband is quite happy to buy from.
Yeah, so the big man himself, King Charles III, he was cooking in Buckingham Palace. There's no aircon in Buckingham Palace or Kensington Palace, I'm told by our royal correspondent, Cameron Walker. Which you'd expect, to be honest, because the King is a net zero man, isn't he? He's a big environmentalist. I doubt he'd ever want anything like that. Although he does look to be perhaps regretting his environmentalist instincts there. Oh, there he is. He's thinking, oh, gosh, why didn't I just get really involved in cheap energy as my main campaign for my life, rather than flowers and gardening?
No, he's not thinking that, because I imagine that building is... Buckingham Palace is so made of quite stone and all those cold materials that actually a lot of those buildings will remain cool when it's hot.
Oh, it doesn't look like...
a lot of them will. If it's really stone, then it would be quite cold. I mean, you know, when you sit in a church pew, a lot of those ones that have been built quite back in the day, they're freezing.
There's a good message. Go to church right now, folks. Could be the difference maker. Right, it's time at 22 minutes past 11 for the Great British Giveaway. It's your chance to win £76,543, 21 pence, tax-free cash. Hayley Sparks has all of the details.
Welcome to the Imperial Island Resort in Paphos. Lines close tomorrow on your chance to win big this summer. There's an incredible £76,543 and 21 pence in tax-free cash to be won. Cash to spend however you like, which means you really could be enjoying the 5-star treatment this summer. Cheers! All that cash could take you on the trip of a lifetime or just enable you to relax in the knowledge that the rest of the year is on us. You have to hurry though, because lines close at 4 p.m. tomorrow. Good luck!
for a chance to win £76,543.21 in tax-free cash. Text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck indeed. Right, up next, Home Office fails to deport half of the 400,000 migrants set for removal. Could Mr Burnham be the man to get a grip on the small boats?
Well, we will be going through that exclusive report in the Times and all that's rested in the papers with Nigel Nelson, who's giving a wave, and Carol Malone, who's giving us a smile. This is Britain's Newsroom, only on GB News. See you in a moment.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Right, it is 11:27. You're back with us here on Britain's Newsroom, live across the United Kingdom. It's Charlie and Nana, and it's also Nigel and Carol. Carol Malone is with us in the studio to look through all the top stories. Carol, where do you want to start?
We're going to start with this hospital scandal. This is the Nottinghamshire University Hospitals Trust, a new report that's just come out, which has been 2 years in the making. This is revealed one of the biggest scandals in the NHS history. More than 500 mothers and babies died or were hurt or were disabled, all because people didn't care. People didn't listen to them. People willfully hurt them, despite... women were told in these hospitals who were in pain and being treated badly, well, if you can't stand pain, don't get pregnant. Like a doctor or a nurse would say that to somebody. But this is incredible that, these panels that the complaints were made to were mostly male-dominated panels, and so deciding issues that affect women, which is wrong anyway, and they literally didn't care. They didn't take them seriously. They dismissed them because they weren't medical people with medical knowledge. And this is just one of a long line of stories and exposés about the NHS that have been going on for years. And there seems to be no accountability. This is not people making a mistake in an office. It's not an admin error. This is people's lives we're talking about here. And I don't know how a family recovers from a situation where they're told, and they have been by this report, that the mother of their children died and could have been saved if they'd been treated properly. And that's what... So I don't know how you get over that. But, for too long we have treated the NHS and the staff that work in it like a sacred cow. Every time we talk about the NHS, we have to preface everything by saying, oh, but everybody works very hard in there. They're all...
Oh, well, I don't preface it like that.
A lot of people...
No, I mean, these are stories that really do make my blood boil, because what I don't understand is why they're not caught earlier. We have an inquiry to tell us how bad it was years later, but what is wrong with the system which doesn't pick this up? You've got Ofsted, which polices schools. Yeah. The Care Quality Commission is meant to do the same for hospitals. How come you didn't find this out? Even the staff wrote to the hospital and said
it's about
there was a problem.
arrogance, and that's what I think it's the Mail today calls it, the arrogance of these people. They knew about it, but they chose to do nothing about it because they thought the people could...
But your point is right. This is lives at stake, and on something like that, you expect them to pick these things up earlier, and if they're not doing it, then we need to look at that process.
Do you think it is the actual nature of the NHS? Like, if it was a private company, there is no way that anyone will get away with this lacklustre approach. But because it's a public-owned kind of paid-for body, there is no accountability. If that happened in a private hospital, you'd be suing people, and they would do a very good job. So the difference between the two, one you pay for directly, the other one you pay for indirectly, but there seems to be a sort of not bothered about it because you're lucky you've even got it, sort of thing.
Well, I mean, I think there is this. There has been the idea that the NHS is the nearest thing to a religion that's not a religion. Yeah. So yes, I think there's been a bit of that. We all go on about how wonderful it is, and really that the 1948 model that created the NHS isn't fit for purpose in the present century. So we've got to actually rethink the whole NHS structure. But on things like this, mistakes should be picked up whoever you are.
And people should be held accountable, legally accountable. You can't willfully ignore people's concerns and people end up dying and there not be a punishment for that.
Over the years, I've often seen people complaining about lawsuits against the NHS and say, oh, we need to protect it. I mean, Nigel makes this point, this country is often seen as a health service with a nation attached to it because it is so revered in the popular psyche. That is starting to go down, I think, because of instances. But I fear that politicians are too nervous to deal with...
That's true. That is so true.
They are terrified.
Yeah.
No one wants to take the radical decision here. This is one of the things that we punish our politicians doing long-term thinking. They're all thinking about what they might do in the next general election or the next, whatever that might be. Is that a problem?
It's a huge problem because they are frightened because some of... reshaping the NHS is going to involve some kind of privatisation. And we have this sacred thing that we can't be doing that. But, you talked about lawsuits. The NHS pays out multi-millions every year in compensation to people for cock-ups. And that, I mean, look the amount of... I haven't looked at this yet, but in the past it's been multi-millions. And that's money that should be going on people's health, on saving lives, not on compensating people for mistakes.
And you're right, Charlie, on that point about the politicians, that privately... It doesn't matter which party, they'll say, look, we've really got to do something big about this. We need a major reform, not tinkering at the edges. They daren't say it publicly because of votes.
Right. Nigel, Carol, thank you very much for your perspectives this morning.
Right, well, in response to the review, Nottingham University Hospital Chairman Nick Carver and Chief Executive May issued an open letter addressed to the people and the communities of Nottinghamshire. In it, they apologised unreservedly to the women and families who suffered loss, trauma and harm or distress whilst receiving care in our services.
Right, let's cross over now to Tatiana Sanchez, who's got your latest news update.
Thank you. The top stories: a red extreme heat warning issued by the Met Office across parts of South and Central England and South Wales has been extended until 9 p.m. on Friday. Meanwhile, South East Water says a hosepipe ban has been introduced for 850,000 customers in Kent due to high temperatures and record demand for water. Now, at least 164 people have been killed, hundreds are injured after buildings collapsed in Venezuela's capital following powerful back-to-back earthquakes. The country's acting president declared a state of emergency. Rescuers are coming from other countries to assist with the search, including from the US, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying the country is immediately deploying resources. And Scotland fans face an anxious wait to discover if the team has qualified for the knockout stages of a major tournament for the first time. Steve Clarke's side lost 3-0 to Brazil in Miami, but a third-place finish in Group C means they could still make the last 32 of the World Cup. Those are the latest headlines. For now, more from me at midday.
Take the GB News family with you on any device. As long as you have an internet connection, tune into GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond.
All right, thank you, Tatiana. Up next at noon, Good Afternoon Britain with Tom and Emily. What's coming up, guys?
Nana, you know I love a hobby horse. And my hobby horse this week has been our country's insane attitude towards air conditioning. Now, we think of air conditioning as standard in shops and in many workplaces, but it seems like we've got a pathology about preventing it in homes. It's planning rules, particularly in London, but also across the country, prevent new homes installing air conditioning without a very good reason. And now there's a story today about people who have installed air conditioning in their Victorian homes being told to rip it out by local councils.
Oh, for goodness sake.
I know.
I don't think I'd be allowed to put an aircon unit in my home because I'm in a sort of old block.
Right.
I think there would be a massive dispute.
With who? The council?
With our neighbours, because they're ugly on the side of the building, aren't they?
I thought the neighbours are ugly.
The neighbours would tell me to take it down, probably, and the council would probably get involved as well. But if you have your own, property, why shouldn't you be able to?
But aren't heat pumps even worse? Don't they have massive units and things like that?
Well,
so
the interesting thing is that heat pumps and air conditioners often are the same thing.
That's what I thought.
So you can get a two-way heat pump that does cooling and heating, although bizarrely for the longest time this government would only subsidise the ones that heated you up rather than cooled you down.
See, that's madness, because if they're insisting that we have heat pumps, then if it can double up as an air conditioner, then hey,
you'd think that would be a
two birds
selling
in one
point,
stone,
right? Yeah.
Well, also in the papers today, it looks like Ed Miliband is front and centre with the economic policy planning behind the scenes for Andy Burnham. So Andy Burnham might make him Chancellor, but if he doesn't, he's very much there beavering away in the background. So what does that mean for our future?
Yeah, that's a bit of a nervy moment for those who have been critical of the government's policies on the economic side, because that could mean they go even further in that direction.
It's really hard to actually tell where Andy Burnham is going to land on this stuff. Now, he's giving a big speech in Manchester at the start of next week that's going to spell out some of his economic vision. But I could make a very right-wing case for you right now of Andy Burnham. You know, he was the Health Secretary who introduced the first privately operated NHS hospital. He was the Mayor of Greater Manchester who presided over towers going up with not one single social home in them, allowing for that development. But I could also make a really left-wing case for Andy Burnham. You know, he was the guy that nationalised or made sure that transport was running in public hands in Greater Manchester.
Subsidised by Westminster money, obviously.
Subsidised by our taxes,
He wants to give mayors more powers.
He also wants to, quote-unquote, take into public hands rail, mail, water, utilities, all these sorts of things.
Some things I agree with him on. Some of those. Water, for example, that's not a commodity that's really commercial, is it? For God's sake, how can you do that? I can't choose. I'm not going to have this water, I'll have that water. I get the water that I get.
Right, well, all of these debates will be taking place at Good Afternoon Britain. I think I'll be taking a nice siesta. I think we should learn from the Spanish on this.
What do you mean you're going to take a siesta during our show?
Well, I
might.
I'll have it on the radio.
I'll put you to sleep, will it, Charles?
Surely.
No, you guys, there's lots of stuff in the papers about people not being able to work in the heat. I'm not one of those people. However, I do think we can learn from our Spanish cousins.
No, you're suggesting a siesta during their show. That's what you suggest.
Spanish brothers and sisters.
I think GBNews gets enough of my time.
Digging.
I'll have a little.
I know, Charlie. You'll be watching it on catch-up.
There we go. Absolutely. I want to know what Emily and Tom got to say about your view on utilities and water.
After your siesta.
After my siesta.
All right. Tom and Emily coming up after us. Great.
But up next, what's going to happen to Sir Keir Starmer now? He says he'll stay on as an MP, but would he get voted back in again in his parliamentary constituency? Nana's convinced he's on his way out.
He's got to go.
OK. Well, this is Britain's Newsroom, only on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. We have both red and amber extreme heat warnings in force today through parts of England and Wales after what's been the warmest June night on record. In Cardiff, temperatures didn't dip below 23.5 degrees Celsius last night. Through today, high pressures over to the east, bringing more of an onshore wind to more eastern areas. So it will be a slightly cooler day across the east coast. But for much of the UK, a day of very strong sunshine with those amber and red extreme heat warnings in force for parts of England and parts of Wales too. In these areas, we're likely to see disruption due to this heat as well as adverse health impacts as well. Temperatures widely in the mid-30s, 37 degrees is likely across some areas in southern England. Into this evening, we start to see a change into the southwest, a risk of thunderstorms pushing up. Elsewhere, though, plenty of strong sunshine into this evening, more cloud across eastern areas, so it will feel cooler across the east, but still very warm, to be honest. And a band of rain affects the far northwest of Scotland. So here, temperatures just 14 degrees in Stornoway to end the day, which is a very big difference compared to elsewhere in the UK. So thunderstorms are likely to push up from the south and west overnight tonight, bringing a risk of lightning, thunder and heavy downpours as well across parts of the southwest and potentially into areas of northern England by Friday morning. It's going to be another warm night tonight. Temperatures widely above 20 degrees. That's widely a tropical night across many southern and central areas. Temperatures could be a little bit higher than last night across the southwest. Further north into Friday morning, that band of rain and potentially thunderstorms pushes further north. Meanwhile, further south, it's another warm day, particularly across the east. Temperatures will climb towards the higher 30s across more eastern areas, while in the west, it's a little bit fresher. Bye-bye.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racist tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. It is 42 minutes after 11 o'clock. This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News with Charlie and Nana.
Now, what's next for Sir Keir Starmer? He's pledged to stay on as an MP until the next election, but would the good people of Holborn and St Pancras vote for him again? again?
Well, Luke Sullivan, former political director to Keir Starmer, joins us now. Luke, what do you think? Because we had some Voxes out there, and a lot of people in his constituency were sick and tired of him, sick to the back teeth of him, and weren't really going to be voting for him again. They thought he was useless.
Yeah, good morning. Look, I'm really happy to hear that Keir Starmer's planning to see out the rest of his term. I think it's a good thing to have ex-prime ministers who can still play a role in the House of Commons. And look, I haven't seen those Fox Pops. Keir Starmer has had an absolutely massive majority in his constituency of Holborn and St Pancras. I know it's a place where, obviously prior to living in Downing Street, he called home. He was very happy there, and I think he's lived there a very large part of his adult life. And look, he is going to obviously move into a new phase, being an ex-prime minister, but I'm sure he will continue to use his post to deliver for his constituents.
Look, one of the criticisms levelled at the Prime Minister is not really a politician. And what I mean by that, he doesn't necessarily have political instincts, he doesn't make decisions when people expect him to. These are the criticisms made of him, but it's clear, perhaps, from those criticisms that he doesn't necessarily enjoy politics. Do you think, therefore, it's unlikely that he'll want to stand again at the end of this parliamentary term? He's done his time now, he's done his public service, changing the Labour Party around. He was at his time as Prime Minister. Now he might look to do something else.
Yeah, look, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure where he is in terms of what his future plans are. I mean, I would say, assuming the next election is going to be in about 3 years' time, he will be in his mid-60s. And I assume that he will be looking for other things to fill his time. He obviously spoke very movingly, I thought, on Monday, and it was probably the first time that many GB News viewers will have seen that human aspect of him, where he talked very movingly about the love for his wife and the most important job that he sees, which is raising his 2 teenage children who he clearly adores. And I assume we'll get to a place where he will look to try and maximise his time doing that. But I also hope that there is something that he feels he can do to add to public service, because, look, viewers will have different views on Keir Starmer. In my opinion, the country does owe him a great debt of gratitude in terms of his public service.
For what?
Not just
Sorry.
as Prime Minister, but also his role in Northern Ireland.
What did he do? Look, I'm sorry, but you did say he came in with a big majority, which he did, but I think that was basically by default because the Tories were so bad. He never said anything. Do you remember Keir Starmer? Everyone was annoyed that we never knew what his policies were. And then he got in by default on a landslide with the lowest turnout that's been seen for many, many years. And then gradually, all of his the U-turns, the number of MPs that he had to get rid of, who had to move on because they did something embarrassing, the freebies, all of that, I would be slightly embarrassed if I were him. And you said that he had a big majority in his constituency. At the beginning, yes, but even his own party turned against him, so I'm sure that his constituents would have also done the same thing. I don't see him. If I were him, I would just leave it at that, get out and give somebody else a chance to do something positive.
I think he will clearly make a decision at the next election. And as I said, I think he'll be in his mid-60s by then. And, it may well be he wants to go and do something else. I think the points you make are all, they are political points in the sense of things that have gone wrong. All prime ministers have difficult political problems. I think Keir Starmer, I thought the argument he made yesterday to Kemi Badenoch in PMQs, I think it's a fair one, is, look, people have made their mind up on Keir Starmer. That's a big reason for why Labour MPs decided he couldn't carry the Labour Party into the next election. But I also think it's fair and reasonable to say that Keir Starmer has left this country in a better place than he found it in almost 2 years ago. That doesn't mean
what you look at. Depends what you look at, Luke. I don't think that's true. I'm sorry. I can't let you get away with that. It's not, is it? We've got record unemployment. We've got where the IMF will probably likely to be bailed out soon by the IMF because things are going so badly.
I just don't believe that for a second.
Well, it's a 50-50, isn't it? The boats, well, well, we've had record numbers of people come, even though people are saying the numbers are going down. There's been no policy really to stop it at all. We're in a very bad way, and the way the rest of the world are viewing the United Kingdom right now, given the way that his government have run it, I think he's turned this country into even more of a laughingstock than the Tories.
Look, I just think that is absolutely ludicrous assertion. Look, I agree with you. There are structural problems this country faces. There are big problems this country faces. Labour got in, and I think Keir Starmer's argument was right, which was this isn't going to change overnight. I do think on all of those issues that you raised, this government have made progress. I think if you look at small votes this year, the numbers are down. If you look at the number
we're running out of time, so I'm really sorry to interrupt because I really wanted to carry on with this conversation. But I do appreciate your comments. That's Luke Sullivan. He's the former political director to Sir Keir Starmer. Thank you very much, Luke.
Right, coming up here on Britain's Newsroom, we're going to be talking about that red extreme heat warning being extended. But first, if you want to look at some red extreme heat elsewhere, well, then here is the top European holiday destinations with the holiday forecast.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
It's not just the UK with exceptional heat, also much of France and pushing further north into Germany and Poland as well. Northern parts of Spain also very hot. Possibility of one or two showers drifting towards Madeira as we go through Friday night. Small chance of one or two showers in Portugal and across the far south of Italy. But for most of Italy, it is hot and sunny. Same goes for Croatia, and we'll continue to see temperatures building, particularly in Italy and Croatia over the next few days. Rome could be up to 40 Celsius by Monday.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Became the norm. Friends just became family, and you know, I just kind of found my love in the streets, really.
And then did that then lead to stuff with knives?
Yeah, so I was stabbed by 15, and then my best friend passed away in my arms from a stab wound to the heart. So I'd already had quite a experience with knife crime at that point.
I think in life it's important to give people a second chance, and especially when you come back and you were using this to such a positive thing, and actually, and you know, your kits already, as you say, have saved several lives, and hopefully it's not even about the saving of lives in that sense, is it? It's if you can prevent people from getting in the situation you were in the first place.
This is where education's important.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Crew of injured and wounded veterans and serving personnel have completed a historic sailing expedition around the UK, carrying the Invictus Games flag.
Yes, it's called the Full Circle Sailing Expedition, and it embarked on a momentous 12-week journey, having sailed 2,000 miles around the UK to complete the whole full circle.
Well, it supported more than 500 injured veterans, and the charity is raising £300,000 to fund their mission to support veterans right across the nation.
Everybody on that boat has a part to play. It's you know, everybody gets involved in safely moving that boat from A to B, and like you said, it's that camaraderie and being a part of a team, and you could say to some extent having that mission.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Come here, is it a love for the royal family, for the kind of the British pageantry? What is it?
You know what, both of those things. I do have a love for the British royal family. I have been royal watching since I was in the 5th grade. That was a long time ago. I watched Indian Style when Lady Di married then Prince Charles, and now he's the king. And I mean, I just love The parade troops, all of that. Oh my gosh, it's absolutely amazing.
Which royals do you think you're most looking forward to seeing as that procession comes down the mall a little bit later?
King. I want to see the king. I love seeing the king and the queen because I'm of that era, actually. The Prince Charles King, now King Charles era. So I always look forward to seeing the king. But of course, the Prince and Princess of Wales.
Well, I think you're going to have a very easy job spotting you in the crowd. That
GB News, the People's Channel.
Well, look, a lot of people talking about the weather. Alan Moulton's been in touch. He said, with all the talk about the hot weather, why isn't GB News leading the way? Make your presenters take their ties and jackets off, undone the top button. However, please draw the line in case children are watching. Don't show them wearing shorts. You never know who has the chicken legs.
Standards must be maintained,
Absolutely.
Nana, at all times.
Absolutely.
We're not
That's
doing
hilarious.
shirts. Although I did join Martin Daubney for a couple of discussions yesterday with some news, and I saw him pop up on the screen. He went jacketless, which was curious.
Jacketless.
There you go, Martin. It's my comments. I kept them to myself. But in the last few minutes, Keir Starmer, he's been reacting to the red heat warning in Britain, which has been extended until tomorrow evening. Let's listen to what the PM for now has said.
Look, it is very hot, and obviously schools will have to take the appropriate measures, and each school will gauge for itself what the measures are. But it is important that we as a government coordinate this across the country, and actually with all of the countries within the United Kingdom, which is what we're doing. We're having COBRA meetings at the official level to monitor what's going on, give the appropriate advice. But obviously it falls to me and others to say, take care, be sensible with precautions.
Well, Molly seems to think that Starmer will be off abroad if someone offers him a job with more money.
No, it's Morgan McSweeney, his advisor. He's doing some work in Ukraine at the moment.
Not surprising at all.
Good gig.
All right, that is it from Britain's newsroom. Up next, Good Afternoon Britain, with two cool cats, Tom and Emily.
Oh, well, thank you, Nana. COBRA meetings, really? COBRA meetings for the hot weather? Do we really need that in this country? That's a question for you.
And that's a difficult one to answer. But also we'll be looking at Andy Burnham. Just how will he define his own economic legacy? Is Ed Miliband trying to define his policy for him?
All of that to come after the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The Met Office amber extreme heat warning remains in place today over parts of southern England, the Midlands and South East Wales. A broader amber warning area also in place covering most of England and Wales. Yes, another hot and sunny day for the majority. A little bit cooler maybe along the south coast and some mist and low cloud along the east coast. More comfortable conditions for Scotland and Northern Ireland. Plenty of sunshine here, the main exception being the far north where the rain could turn heavier later on. Temperatures across Scotland, low to mid-20s, perhaps further south we're talking mid-30s, maybe high 30s inland over parts of the Midlands, southeast Wales and southern England. The humidity is also high, hence the health risk. That's why we've got the warnings in place.